it's Monday, and we did Sierra Hotel 1 Tango Sunday yesterday. Here's another new set. We've had this on the shelf for about 3 years, but it's still the current model. I think they're showing us €69 on CRT's website, and it's a pretty basic MultiNorm set. We're trying to alternate between a repair and an old classic set and a new set at the moment. I know there's shelves are bulging with repairs, but I wanted to get down these as well. So it's the 8040. We actually get an instruction book with this one, which is quite handy. I'm sure this is the same as some others that were popular 3 years ago as well. Every time I sit down to do a video, I manage to get the timing such that the background music system goes over to radio. So I'm now competing with the radio. Right, put that on one side. So we've got a set with a non-detachable lead. Right, we'll connect that to the power supply. Right, we better get the lids off. Not really the right screwdriver, but it'll do. So we've got a detachable speaker, which is handy, and a little bit bigger speaker than we're getting in some of the current sets. So we'll plug the test equipment into the aerial socket. So looking at this, we've got one or two adjustments. We've got that'll be received, that's probably the detector. The transmitter line has no adjustments. .310 PCB1. Oh, what was it which was the 310? I know I've seen this before. Anyway, what we will do is we'll see what this thing is doing. Select picture in picture. And then we can see what transmit the radio is doing. So it's in EU mode. That's no good to us. We want it in UK mode. That's not English. better. Sensitivity is supposed to be 1 microwatt for 10 decibel SINAD. Notice I've used the 10 decibel, not the 12 industry standard. So we'll see how that is when we get there. So this is in French. And this one's in German. And I did just look, but I couldn't see. Well, I think I can get the gist of what happens here. I think you're going to be pressing AM, FM and up, down to select. So let's do just that. Yeah. Do we press that again? Do we press the transmit a second? Do we switch it off and switch it back on? We do, yeah, that's it. So we'll pop that up to channel 20. And no doubt now when I press the band button it'll go to the other band, which will be CPT. It is. And then back to UK. So any access to AM FM would have to be done by reprogramming it to the EU mode. But we only want it to work on UK. We don't use CPT and we don't use AM, so that's where it's going to stay. So back to what we said we were going to do, and we're just going to key it up and just see how many watts it's doing. So we're on the 3 watt scale. So full scale deflection is there, and that would be 3 watts. And that's what he's doing. He's doing 3 watts. We'll just check the deviation. It wants to be between 2.2 and 2.4 with a whistle. It's going to be less with the modulation device which I use. So we'll just do my famous wallow. So I want it to be somewhere around there. Wallow. It's not actually far out. It's about 2. It wants to be 2.2. So that is fair enough. I'm just going to do a little bit of research and see if I can track down what it, because we've seen these before. It will save me faffing about finding out what does what. I'm trying to see what the output device is, but it's not well enough labelled for me to say. So the board, the front board says 8040, but the lower board says 310, and that rings a bell. So I'll just see if there's something I can dig up. Just pause the video. So I managed to find a bit of information, half a service manual for the Anytone 8300. We've also got the Mars, is it MAAS 8040, which is the same. So we've got a nice chart there. CT1 should put us on frequency. Well, that's interesting. I can't see CT1. This is the 300. This is my radius, the 310. So it's not really much help at all. Oh dear. So this is for an earlier version. So we're going to be back to guest time again. Okay, forget all that. Use the back of that to draw a little diagram. Right, so we've got 7 presets inside here. So it's going to be guess time. So we've got W5 in an area that could be AM mod. We've got W6 and W3 which could be in position where it's AM mod. And I don't want to upset AM mod because I don't really want to touch AM. So conversely, this is a power regulator, and I would expect one of these to affect the transmit power. So see if I can find the yellow tool. Press transmit. We'll go over to the 30 watt range, so we're looking about there is what we want, and we'll go for W3. And straight away that is definitely the power, and it's doing 3.6 watts. How can I have lost the pen in such a short space of time? Does this have a bar graph on it? No, it doesn't. So that's something which we don't have to adjust, and most of them these days are fake anyway. So yeah, 3.6 watts. So deviation, you expect it's going to be somewhere around about where the synthesizer lives. Now, chances are that's the receive, so I'm expecting that would be squelch. So it's quite possible that that is deviation. So we'll go for WT, the lower one. It isn't that. Go for W7, the next one up. It is that. Wallow. That's now too loud. Wallow. Doesn't want to set up easily, does it? Wallow. 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 Yep, it's doing 2.2 now. So W7 is FM deviation. Well, that's all there is to transmit. Right, we'll move over to receive. So with 2779125 on the signal generator, we have a non-adjustable transmit reference crystal. So we'll see how accurate the radio is. Pretty spot on, to be honest. I'm going to move the camera across so you can see that. Should be 2779125. It's 2779123 toggling 4. So there we go. tell you what, we'll move up to the oscilloscope and see whether I'm correct about this being the detector. So we'll turn the volume up a bit. This has got a squelch control. We better plug in the extension speaker, which is in this case the test instruments. We'll put an S9 signal on the radio. Once again, check there's no bar graph display. There isn't. Suits me. And that isn't the detector, so that's out of the question. So we'll check that. It must be something to do with the IF. Right, so we'll drop down the signal. That's 0.3 of a microvolt. And we'll move the camera onto the SINAD meter. We'll just go through this tuning. So we'll drop the signal down to about 4 decibels so that we can actually see any adjustment we make. And this is very, very sensitive. We're looking at 0.08 of a microvolt. Fraction there. I'll just check this IF. That could be an AM detector. We might have to set it up on AM. So we'll look at squelch. Switch the signal generator off, put the squelch to threshold, switch the signal generator on. It's coming in at 0.3 of a microvolt, leaving it 0.25. Although I was getting this the wrong way around. It's coming at 0.25. It's leaving it 0.22. So that's fine. So we'll turn the squelch to full. Let's see where it comes in now. So that's 1 microvolt, 3 microvolts, 10 microvolts, 30 microvolts, 100 microvolts. I want it a bit better than that, so we need to find the squelch adjustment. And I think the squelch adjustment is going to be W1 up here. But it isn't, you know. So is it W4? No. So is it W2? Yeah. So that's now got that at 100 microvolts. We'll make a note. W2 is squelch. So now we'll check auto-squelch. We'll switch that to auto. And we'll look at, we messed up with VR4 and W4 and W1. So one of those is going to be auto-squelch, I would expect. So it's not W4. And it's not W1. I'm sure it's not going to be W5. Or W6. No, don't know them. So we better reprogram this radio for EU, and we'll have to do some AM adjustments. Now I've messed all that up. Go to UK, from there to EU. And hopefully that'll switch it to AM, which it has done. So pain here is we need to set the instruments back up for a different frequency. So it's 27205. So we're going to AM mode. We'll start with the receive on this occasion. So we're just dialing in 27205 into the signal generator. Just like that. And let's see whether this is the AM detector. It is, yeah. So that's now peaked. So whilst we're now on here, we'll look for modulation, and again we'll have to reset the test instrument for a different frequency and undo the extension speaker socket. There we go. Wallow, that's it. I think that is going to be modulation. So what we'll do, we'll put the other camera back onto the bottom meter. We're done with the SINAD meter. Wallow. So let's get that little oscillator back out. So we're currently looking at 55%, 40%. So it is not W5. It isn't W6. Well, I can't believe it's going to be W4. Or blow me it is. So take that to a higher percentage. I've got that to 60% now, which is about as safe as it's going to go. With the voice, wallow, it's 90%. So that's a mod. One of those presets will be for Germany's 1 watt setting, so we don't need to worry about that. So looks like we're okay. I think we can safely put the radio back onto UK. So we'll turn it off, switch it back on again. Pop it onto UK. There we are. Put that extension speaker back in. And reset the signal generator for FM 2779125. So I'm going to put the camera back onto the SINAD meter, and then we can look at the... I've gone too far, haven't I? There we go. put that now back on to looking for the sensitivity. So it said 10 microvolt, 1 microvolt, better than 1 microvolt for 10 decibel SINAD. So we'll come to that. So I'll get that notepad out. And what's this? The CRT. Did we say it was the 8040? S8040. So the 20 dB figure, the 12 dB figure, which is the normal industry standard, and then the 10 dB, which is a bit of the cheaty figure, makes it look better than it is figure, which is what CRT have quoted on this occasion. We'll start with 20. So what do we have to do to get 20? We have to give it 1.4 microvolts. So the industry standard 12 decibel SINAD. Remember it said better than for 10. Better than 1 for 10. So we've got 0.55. And then for 10, let me just read this again. That 12 doesn't look like I've told you the right figure. No, it's not. I can't believe this. For 12, it's 0.18. Good grief, that's sensitive. And 0.15 for the 10 decibels, so it's a lot better than what that instruction book said. So that's all there is to it. So it doesn't quite do the power, just 3.6 watts. It's a bit of par for the course these days, isn't it? Put the lid back on. Get rid of picture in picture. Right, so we'll put it on the aerial. I'll unplug the extension speaker which goes to the instruments, we'll switch off the instruments, we'll pop it on the aerial. Let's press scan. Okay, well that's going to do nothing, isn't it?
I'm not going to bother taking it out myself. I'm going to get them to come and take it off.
19 Roger. That didn't work, did it? And the bloke on 18, well, he's not going to take it off himself. So there we are. So yeah, we got through that all right. So what I really ought to do in the next few days is also to do the Mars version. You never know, it could be slightly different. They do sometimes have different boards. So that was RX1 RX2, RX3 and RX4. We never did discover a couple of those, but I think it's all to do with 1 watt, and I'm sure one of those is auto-squelch, but I failed to find it made any difference. Right, well, we'll do it on the air test later on. In fact, I may as well leave that on, chuntering on 19. Thank you for watching the CRT 8040, which is a current model, and this is 2020.